Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, all depending on when you're watching this video. Thank you once again for joining us here at our Fiber Nerds podcast. I am your co-host, Irving Perez, and I'm joined by our host, Aaron Lloyd.
What's up?
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Back again with your Fiber Nerds, your favorite Fiber Nerds.
Maybe the only fiber yarns you know, really.
Well, at least open, very open
Supposedly,
about being
yeah. But we're
bi.
pulling them out of the networks. We're getting them out of the woodwork, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us on our second episode here on our Fiber Nerds podcast. If you were joined us for our first episode, it was mainly just an introduction video to the podcast, to ourselves, just giving you guys a little background on what the podcast is going to be, and and who we are and sort of where we come from. Today's episode, we are actually going to talk about CFOT, getting certified as a fiber optic technician, and is it valuable? Should you do it? My answer is yes. What about you?
I agree. I think we talked a little bit about this in our first episode about why didn't we do this stuff earlier?
Earlier, yes.
And
Yeah, it's
definitely recommended.
yeah, extremely recommended. There's plenty of different ways that you can certify yourself as a technician, but today we're going to be going over the certification that we went through the Fiber Optic Association, obtaining their Certified Fiber Optic Technician cert. Sorry, repeated cert, man. It gets to you after
Certified
a while.
certification.
Yeah. But honestly, our main question is, well, my main spiel is going to be, is it worth it? Is it truly worth it? I mean, I've been a technician. Well, I was a technician for 3 years when I first came into the industry, and like many other technicians, it was either the 2 day training, quick hands-on, and I'll be honest, I came from banking beforehand, had no idea of power tools, didn't know what a cable was, coiling it up, it kept slapping me in the face for like 8 hours straight my first day. But yeah, it's insane. I have attained the cert probably about a little over a year ago now, and I truly do wish I would have gotten this way before, maybe in the same week that I sort of
Yeah,
started this.
that's right. Instead of getting your tools and getting put into the bucket, getting at least the 3 day, because a lot of the times this training is structured. It could be a 3 day, including the passing the exam and being certified. That you're truly much more prepared.
Yeah, and at least for me, there is a big difference in having the hands-on training that you would, growing the hard skills that you're going to be using within the field, but the educational knowledge, the backing info that sort of supplements all the stuff that you're learning, you don't really dive too deeply in that, especially on the job training or at work if you're just starting off. Never wear tech before. You get a couple of days out there, learn what cabling is, learn what you're going to be doing, and then it's sort of out into the wild in a sense. Um, and yeah, just for me personally, it was like such an eye opener. All of the gaps that I've sort of obtained or grew ended up
Worked
growing.
around in
Yeah,
some
worked around. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Up until this point, we're completely filled in. It was a lot of stuff that I already knew, from just my work experience. So then just the translation on the sort of book knowledge information, it wasn't too hard of translating it between the two, but I know it can be very difficult for some, and that's why we're going to be going over it at least a little more in depth to see if you'll be applicable to going after and obtaining it yourself, uh, whether it through your employer or for your own personal gain, because I still do think that it brings a lot of value to you as a technician if this is the career path that you're sort of moving towards. So with that being said, Aaron, you want to go over the FOA? Let them, you know, just show them what the FOA is, or tell them what the FOA was about, since you're the one that introduced me to it.
Yeah. So to do that, I'm actually gonna we're getting used to our podcasting software. We use Riverside, and so we're gonna start trying to actually incorporate some more of the content there, um, and provide a little more visual reference. How's that look? There we
Nice,
go.
yeah, it's clean,
Okay, cool.
clean. You heard it, folks. Soon he's going to be adding animations, different, explosions in the back while we're walking away, all that good stuff. It's all coming.
Don't get it hopes up too much. I'm still trying to figure out lighting and audio. So
AV is a monster in its own, man.
yes, it is. So the Fiber Optic Association has been around for a long time. I believe like the early or late '90s is when it really manifested into kind of what it is today. And Jim Hayes and a bunch of other people actually from the industry decided like there needed to be like a vendor neutral training for this emerging like quickly uh, growing industry for fiber optics. So the FOA was founded with that mission, and it. I think a lot of people equate the FOA with the CFOT, but it's so much more. It's so much
Yeah.
more, and it took us time to really map out all there is to it, and so it's really hard to summarize quickly. But for the purpose of this podcast, FOA.org is the website. You've probably seen this logo maybe in some of the buildings you've been in, on racks and hard hats on the back of the truck or something like that. But that's the official logo, and it's 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 a professional association for fiber optics, and you become a member with it, like you would, any other kind of like educational, training slash certification body, and you get certified through them. And as a member, then you continue your education, you renew your certifications or get new certifications, and they provide you constantly with a wealth of update information, which I guess we'll talk about a little later, about how to, once you get certified, to stay on top of the
Yep.
things that you've learned, right? So, yeah, so that's in a nutshell, like who they are. Um,
And yeah, the material that they have, man, it's you
yeah.
know it's expansive within the fiber, within the fiber domain in itself. I mean, when I first looked at the FOA website, just navigating through it I was like, okay, what the heck is a cable premising technician, and the testing portion of it, and all these different sort of certs that they had lined up in a progressive sort of manner. It's like if you're a technician, here's where you start, here's the ones that you should receive, and then they have sort of like the level up, so the next tier of certs that you can go out and obtain as well. And I thought that was a lot more that resonated with me, for the simple fact that going into something and you're not sure, okay, I'm I'm trying to get education on one end, I'm trying to might possibly get certified. I don't know the complete end goal of my career, or career progression. So like to have an organization to sort of put that in front of you, I know Bixie does it too, and plenty of the other ones do as well.
Yeah.
It's just structure, just having a structured, progressive goal to your career is definitely helpful, and it definitely helped me out. And even the way the sort of the certs are designed within the website itself. We'll get in a little more in depth in that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, just more on becoming certified as a fiber optic technician. I can speak from one side, since that's where I started off at. My first 3 years were just doing a bunch of splicing, bunch of fiber installs. So to sit down and sort of relearn all the things that I learned just out in the field was sort of I'm trying to find the word for it, but I can't. It was, oh geez, man. I'm just completely sorry,
Well,
my
I think
sorry
in some
friend. I'm
ways
lost for words.
it was validating, right? Because you
Yes.
figured things out, but then at the same time, the enrichment that you get from filling in all those gaps and making connections between the things that up until that point, like you'd hear these terms, you troubleshoot this problem, like, oh, you've got, you've got an ONT that is weak signal, right?
Hmm.
And like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I gotta, check, resplice it, or, whatever. But then like to really understand what the power budget is, and things like that just brings so much clarity around.
Clarity. There we go. That's the word.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, and it's funny though, because at the same time that not only did it bring me clarity to what I was doing, but it also, gave me more clarity on what I did not know.
Right.
And just how much I still had to learn, even though I already had 3 years and have been doing this sort of every day for those, for that time period. There was still so much that I didn't understand that, doing this, self study or the on the job training or, just going through the program of the CFOT really helped out tremendously for me. So I do want to get into because, one of the great benefits that I had was that Eron was able to develop an on-the-job training option for us for the FOA. They do have pro school programs, right? I believe.
Yeah. That's one of the things I was trying to bring up the map on that. Let me pull that up here.
Yeah, I know they
So
have school
it's
programs in schools.
FOA is an international body, and it's awesome to see the reach uh, that it has at this point. And it's kind of weird, like it's not bringing up all my tabs. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So this is actually a different website, FOA-approved.org. And we'll put the links to some of the sites that we're mentioning in the show notes. So you can just click through to those from there. But the map here is pretty cool. You can see from like an official FOA approved school or FOA training center, who have to go through, you have to basically get trained to be a trainer, right? So kind of a train the trainer program to become an FOA instructor. They have their own rigorous process for that to uphold the standard of education for the knowledge, skills, and oh man, the KSAs, and abilities, I believe it is, that they define as what a certified fiber optic technician should have in order to do quality craftsmanship, in the field.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see uh, in the U.S. here, is mainly what we generally talk about. That's where we're at. But you can see there are a lot of schools here in the U.S. And if you click on any of these, it'll often show you like a URL to the school and the type of certifications
Oh
they'll do
wow.
as well. So yeah, so no matter where you are, uh, chances are there's going to be an instructor available nearby. Now, when we started, um, there wasn't a school near us, so um, uh, we wanted to build our own training internally as well. So that's when we found out that there's actually an option called on the job training, where you can start a training program in house. So as long as you are already how do I put this? I guess as long as you are already hiring and deploying technicians to do fiber work, you can use the FOA materials to uh, give them the like true on the job training backed by the curriculum of the FOA, have them do the coursework, get the field time in, take the exam, pass, and get certified on the job. And it was pretty awesome because, if you're um, if you're a shop that's growing, you're hiring new techs, why wouldn't you want to have an in-house program, right? So that's kind of the thought that I had, and that's what we went with. And on the, I guess I can't switch tabs. I gotta jump back.
Jump back and forth between. Hey, it's all right. It's not too bad.
Um, so we go to the certification page, and again, like I said, I'll post this on on our
Ever,
description thing.
yeah. And I mean, Aaron was able to develop, the on-the-job training program that I was able to take, uh, just through our employer. And I'll be honest, I'm not, during that time I was out of school for about, sheesh, 8 years, 7 years or so. So studying was not my biggest strong suit. But I do have to mention this: the way the program is set up, it is, it's very guided, especially through. We'll dive a little more into it in the next couple of minutes. Let me let Aaron go over the on the job training option program, and then we'll dive into what we did.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a journey. Like it's a journey, and it's the topic of today. So we're going to try to cover as best we can the experience to help you know the options that you're going to have to also become certified. So the OJT to Cert program, I think, is a really innovative thing. We've got so many fiber projects going on right now. And I really hope that as many people as possible realize the value of even just doing the OJT approach. Get your techs trained week one, get them tooled up, then send them out into the field. You're just going to have such a better, the experience as a company, as a technician, and so like I said, yeah, we coordinated. You sign up. You become what's called a corporate member with the FOA. I believe when we signed up, a corporate membership is like $100. I mean, we're
Oh
not
wow!
talking we're
Yeah,
not
that's
talking
great.
big money here, um, and
I didn't know
they
it was.
give you discounts on like the books because you can get like hard copies versions, editions of the book, uh, instructor manuals, you know, uh, PowerPoint presentations, all kinds of things to guide you, hands-on lab, workbooks and things like that. So yeah, so they really provide you with what you need. Like you're not on your own. You have questions, you get in touch with them. Very, very helpful. I just can't recommend it enough. And then set up your program. It's at your pace. Like I said, a lot of the schools will go through a 3-day training program, but I think we were doing maybe 2 chapters a week.
Yeah, it was 2 chapters a week with yeah, because a lot of the time we were doing this the studying portion we were doing outside of work hours generally.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, a lot of the lab stuff that we would do on the days that we had time to go in the shop and be able to do a couple of things. Yeah, it was about two times a week, at least the studying portion. I think we did a hands-on about once a week as well
yeah,
uh, during that time. So definitely at self-paced at your own pace. It was great for me. Just stepping back into trying to obtain something because like I said, being out of school for so long and even trying to achieve something as a certification can be intimidating for a lot of
yeah,
people. I know I was intimidating just hearing the word. Um, and it sort of just comes down to, okay, this is what I'm doing. Is this what I want to do? All right, let me learn this. And again, we've emphasized this 1,000 times, but if I would have learned it, within the same week, or just had sort of that foundation, like, okay, this is what I am going to learn or have to learn as I'm going through this, through the training itself, would have been great benefit, which it was up to the point that we took it. Once we did it, it was
yeah.
like, an insane mind blown. But what I want to get into, I want to talk about personal experience, but from what I see is the value of
Yeah,
being a certified fiber optic technician, whether it be through the FOA, through an installer tech, or wherever you're may able to get that type of credential. From a tech standpoint, and from a professional, when you go into the industry and you start off as a technician, it's like, okay, I'm doing the job. It's nice pay. I like the work. But then it comes to the point where, just like any profession, you have to decide, is this what I want to do? Is this what I want to continue to do, whether it be short term, 1, 2 years, to 3.5 because my philosophy. If you're gonna do something, then you better 100%, 110%, whether it be for a day, 3 years, doesn't matter the time frame. You better give it your all, and that's sort of where we were at that point in our profession. It was okay. Where are we now?
Yeah.
What do we need? Where are our gaps? You were able to find such a great resource and present it to me, and then I sort of had to make the decision of, do I want to add value to myself as a technician? Not only we're not just talking about filling in the gaps of knowledge. This is something that you can take with you, not
Right.
only from, your employer standpoint to your own personal career or personal growth to many different areas in ICT. So it's a starting point. It's definitely a starting point where you can sit back. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is the first step, and that's sort of that sort of like the pathway that we did. And after obtaining the CFOT, it just opened up so many different avenues and doors, and it sort of solidifies, to others the experience that you've obtained and the skill sets that you've gained. It's like, yeah, I've been doing fiber for 5 years and I'm certified.
Right.
Like
Right. No, that's a great point, Irving, because you carry the CFOT designation with you.
yes,
So you are a certified fiber optic technician, and you may even start seeing that, you start noticing that on job ads asking, hiring technicians, CFOT's preferred, right? And you have that, as Irving said, you have that transferable recognition of your professional development, and the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you're going to bring to the next role. And yeah, there's a lot of value in that. FOA trainings, I mean, the certifications have been approved by the Federal Department of Labor, which gives it, you know, uh, a lot more credibility throughout the country as far as it, for a professional credential. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it goes just beyond the individual as well. I know you just touched on a couple minutes ago the importance of an organization being able to
Yeah.
give this to the techs, and it's not so much of I'm pushing out techs that are informed.
Mhm.
They have fundamental knowledge on what they're trying to do. They have some a quick hands-on training, so they're applicable to do their job and stuff. But at least for me, you were able to develop a sense of structure career-wise within the organization itself.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, I was able to get my CFOT. I was able to have a career plan. Okay, what's the next step? Is
Mhm.
the organization going to do that? Which you definitely helped me in. It's like, okay. And once you get all the technical stuff out of the way, now you yourself might have an engineer, a designer coming up, a specialist,
Yep.
depending on the branching that the technician or the employee would want to do or the person would want to do, and you retain that, you keep that in house, and
Right.
it's not something that as soon as someone gets their certs or whatever, it's like just out.
Yeah, I forget what I forget. There's a saying, it's something along the lines of, if you're worried about training your employees and them leaving, uh, consider not training them and them staying.
Them staying, yeah, that's not a good one either.
Yeah, yeah, so it's as an organization, I think, and the competition for not just attracting but retaining talent, professional development. I mean, we could probably do a whole episode just on that
Just on
general
that, yeah.
concept itself, but it could play a huge role in retraining, retaining, training, retaining, and then growing that talent in house. Um, and programs like this, I think, are a no-brainer first step, at least
Yeah.
for them.
And another thing, just from a personal note, it was, I talked about when you get good at something, you start
Mhm.
developing a passion for it. And, granted, I had the hands-on experience, like I said, adding the fundamental knowledge through the certs. I had the confidence to say I knew what I knew,
Yeah,
I know what I know, and at the same time be able to portray that,
right.
not in a condescending or cocky manner, but
No,
affirmative, like, hey, I know what it takes to get this job done. You can talk from a place of, what's the word I'm looking for? Shoot it at me.
well, I mean, legitimacy, really.
Legitimacy. There we go. You always got it for
Authority.
authority. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's actually, I was very quiet, very I oh my goodness, how see I'm all lost. I'm all lost today. It's all jumbo. I ain't had my coffee this morning. But I used to be very quiet, very docile, just not engaging in these type of conversations that I needed to be, for the simple fact that I felt like my knowledge base was inadequate. I didn't know
Right.
enough to
You
talk.
didn't have the right to call people out and say, "Hey,
Yes.
like we need to redo this," like or like we're troubleshooting this. It's 3 a.m. We're wasting time.
We're
We're
wasting time.
chasing the
Yeah.
wrong problem. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it changed the dynamic of my workflow
Mhm.
entirely. Before it was tiptoeing around. Hold on, I have to get permission from this. Is this okay? Is this right? To I know this is good. I dot my T. Cross my I's. Whoa, mixed it up anyway. I try to fix it. I'm getting it done. I'm getting it
yeah,
done, and it's as the benefit for the organization. Again, when you have a team that's confident in their own skill sets, that's
yeah.
not, you
It's
know
such a difference.
it is such a difference. It is such a difference than having three people that know just maybe say 70%, that have to constantly relay to someone back, and higher up that knows, and then back down, and then this and that. It's You take a four-man team to a two-man team
Yeah.
by doing that. When you can, I'm not going to multiply. A four-man team's a four-man team. I know a lot of you will times it by two and make it 16 people, and everyone could do 16 different jobs. But in reality, four people, 14 four-man team is a four-man team. And if you have confident, adequate individuals at those positions, at the helm of your operations, by giving them something like a cert to achieve, or
Right.
training early on when they first step through the door, like
Yeah.
it is a big shift in just the culture of the organization in itself, because we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen it in our own case.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. Again, get your cert if you can. If you're a tech, that is what I'm telling you. Go, try to get your cert as much as possible, especially if you see a career in this
Right.
profession.
Yeah.
If you've done it for 5-7 years and you're
Yeah.
gonna
Even
be
if you've
doing
done
it,
it,
yeah,
I was gonna say, even if you've done it for 5 to 7 years, you're going to learn things. You
yes,
think you know how to use an OTDR, you'll be surprised how little you know about OTDRs. You know, and very basic things. We talk about this a lot, like cleaning, inspecting patch cords. Uh, Having a structured, rigorous documentation, process, and these types of things. Like it's just you're going to pick up things. You're going to be better, and if you want to succeed in the ICT industry, pretty much at any level, any career goal, you just have to keep that attitude of continual improvement. You know,
because here's the truth. Here's the truth of fiber optics. It is never going to stay the same.
no,
You know, as tech is continuously booming, tech will never stay the same. But as a tradesman in a sense, working on being a craftsman, I would say,
Mhm.
in fiber, you have to stay on top of it. You have to, keep up with the industry, because the tech will leave you behind. Unfortunately, it's just the reality of it. I mean, we talked about seeing things like hollow core fiber, or multi
Oh,
core fibers and
multi-core
stuff.
fibers,
Yeah,
yeah, like
which we will be talking in another segment. So if you got questions on that, we'll be more than happy to talk about it in
oh,
another
we're
segment. Yeah.
excited. We're excited. Yeah, I saw a picture. Oh man, um, I'll have to shout them out properly. They were talking about even just manufacturing fiber on Earth versus in zero gravity,
Oh,
basically Z-bland, and it's a basically a if we were to manufacture uh, uh, the actual glass in space, and the clarity, just the near perfection of the glass itself, and reduction of attenuation. It's incredible, and it's just going to open up, just performance gains that every time we think that okay, this is just kind of like the state of the art, like it just flips.
yeah.
Somebody, and man, I wish I could remember who described. um, the ICT field as a trade, of course, like other trades, plumbing, electric. But imagine if you were a plumber and the physics of water itself continued to change. The just the speed it would drain. The gravity itself would adapt. So you know what I mean? Like pipes would constantly have to get bigger, and you have sub pipes and pipes going sewer and water at the same
At the
time, and the
same
same
time,
pipe
yeah.
are completely separated. Like it's crazy, but this is what we deal with when we're in the trade of photonics,
Yeah.
and so yeah, from the cable itself, man, to the electronics, like it's a lifelong process. It's absolutely a lifelong
Yeah.
process.
And you will be better off learning just basic fundamentals of each domain in a sense, or just the overall domain to be able to communicate with, engineers, designers, special, testing specialists,
Yeah.
or plenty of other people design, you have to have that foundation. I keep saying that word because that is what you build upon, and to start off with something like you said, you have 7, 8 years of experience getting your CFOT to be able to fill in those gaps and learn, oh, this is what I'm still missing,
Hmm.
you know. That's what was the biggest step for me. And then you can see, oh, whoa, this journey doesn't just end at me being a tech. And if it does end at me being a tech, I will be a master tech,
The
like
best damn tech I can.
I
Yeah.
can never be, yeah.
Well, okay, but who else beside techs should consider getting a CFOT, right? Because we've seen people who are not technicians who would definitely,
Right
you
here.
know,
I got a title that's in mind, and this is not dissing any of you guys. Trust me, you guys are my favorite role. I'm actually trying to, stump into my role myself, but network techs and network engineers would benefit
yeah.
so much off of certifying themselves as a fiber optic technician. Because you guys mess with fiber. You guys start patching in all these dang equipment in, especially during outages. You're not cleaning stuff properly. You're throwing the cable, freaking patch cord is 50 meters going across, hanging everywhere. I understand. We've all been there, but
We sympathize.
we sympathize. We sympathize.
Yeah.
But you guys, it would be such a benefit, such a
Yeah.
benefit. There's plenty of other certs as well. This, cable premising technician, the
Yeah, we'll talk
cable
about that
premise
one too.
technician. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that when on another episode. But there's plenty of foundational stuff that not only does a fiber tech gets, fiber engineer. If
Hmm.
you don't have the technical knowledge, you shouldn't be designing.
Yeah.
That's my take. That's my hot
Yeah.
take. Network engineers would benefit off of it. Who else? Who else
How
would
about
benefit?
this? Okay, electricians, right?
Electricians. Oh,
Aren't we seeing we're seeing the rise of that now? Electricians getting into low voltage,
look, yeah.
but not getting into fiber, per se. They're getting into the category cabling, structured cabling and things like that. But learning fiber optics inside out, particularly single mode, um, as electricians, yeah, it's, you know, IBEW locals have training schools. I've been seeing quite a few of them actually adopting FOA materials and
Oh,
stuff,
nice.
and turning out electricians who also have CFOTs.
That's
So that's
great.
another excellent pairing as well. But
Yeah, I think
really, yeah.
think if you're running any low voltage,
Hmm.
you should at least dabble in possibly getting a CFOT, or just, obtaining fundamental knowledge on fiber, at least on the single mode, multi-mode side. You don't have to be touching ribbon and hollow core and all this other
No,
stuff.
no, no.
Um, but yeah, who else? I think so.
Like,
Yeah, I think any
security
security. I
installation,
was just gonna say that. Yeah,
cameras, uh, alarm systems.
because
That
optical LANs
stuff's
are
going to
coming.
be,
Yeah,
yeah, that stuff is going to be, running over fiber at some point.
fiber or Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
wireless. Yeah, fiber
yes,
or wireless. Those are gonna be
yeah,
the two, at least from my perspective. Following
yeah. Well,
the
Yeah, as buildings, evolve and standards change, expect to see it, and so it would definitely benefit you to at least have that foundational knowledge. So yes, a lot of different tradespeople can benefit from certification like this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now that we've talked about who the FOA is, what a CFOT is, how do you get this? How do you pass the exam, right? Because that's always the question that seems to, you can write, and I've done this, long articles describing certifications and what it covers, but like everybody always constantly, so how do I pass?
How do I
What's the
pass?
process? What's the process?
What's the secret? Yeah, what's the secret code to passing
What
the test?
what are the resources we're looking at here?
Yeah, and let me see. Didn't the I know besides the initial book. Oh, let me see. I got my book here.
Got your book?
Yeah, the FOA gives you the
There it is.
physical copy
Yep.
of the CFOT, but they also have the material online.
Yes.
You can follow through. Each chapter, I believe, has their own questions at the end of it
Yep.
that test yourself.
Yep.
Um, so
And that's Fiber U.
the Fiber U, yes, Fiber
Yeah.
University
Let me
that they
pull
have.
that up real quick. So again, this is actually another. Oop,
And I will mention this. These books are great reference guides too.
oh yeah.
That I've mentioned. They're great stuff. It's a little dusty. It's been a while.
So fiberu.org, again, we'll put this in the show notes. Um, Actually, has a ton of different courses for all kinds of different things, which we will be touching on. There's certs in here that we don't have yet.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, and, that we'll be working on, get knocking out. Um, but the starting point really is in the center here, the basic fiber optics. You click through to that, and this is the course that's basically the FiberU self-study program, which can prepare you for a on-the-job or work-to-cert program for the CFOT specifically. And like Irving said, um, it covers everything pretty much. Uh,
Oh, look, they even have it in Spanish now. I wasn't.
Yes, yes. So
Nice.
yeah, the FOA is continuing to innovate. A lot of the material is being translated into other languages. It's awesome. A lot of the books are available in Spanish in hard copy. You can buy them on Amazon there, but also on the website. As Irving says, 10 lessons. I believe it's 10 chapters in the book, and it covers everything that you would be expected if you follow along. Definitely recommend having the book though as well. Um, just a little easier until you get familiar with, because the FOA site is filled with information. I mean, it is just a library, a treasure trove of stuff. So until you kind of navigate, just getting the book and being able to keep focused and structured, I think is a really good idea there. So that's the Fiber U portion of it. So the book, the online course, which has the same training or like chapter quizzes
Hmm.
that you'll take in the book, making flashcards out of the jargon that they have in there is really good. And
Flashcards are key, my people.
flashcards, yeah.
Flashcards are key, my
We
people.
will we will talk. Maybe we can do like a mini episode on the secret weapon of flashcarding. But turn the practice I'm sorry, the chapter quiz questions into flashcards, and then there's for the U fiber one, I believe there's a full practice test that you can take,
Yes,
and
that's
you
correct.
pass that, then you get kind of it's not a CFOT cert, it's kind of like a uh, certificate of completion, I think they call that. If you pass that, and then you're in a on the job or work to cert style program, you can submit that, and then you can be authorized to sit for your exam.
Oh, yeah, that's
Did I
right.
miss
Yeah.
anything else?
Nah, you hit it spot on. I do want to mention that the small chapter quizzes, you can
Yep.
retake them as much as you
Yeah.
can, and they give you, whether the correct or the wrong answer depending on what you chose. And through these chapter quizzes, you're able to sort of gauge what portions of the chapter you still need work on and what portions are you getting stronger at.
Hmm.
So, if you do the first chapter, you take the chapter quiz, you fail it, or, what would be considered a fail, you can go back and do it again.
Yeah.
Plus they give you plenty of information on what the answer should have been and where you can find it. So do not be intimidated by it. I know cert studying quizzes tests that's all very frightening to a lot of us, but it is not as hard as we think it is, especially when you can build a structure based upon the FOA structure that they
Right.
currently have. Um, yeah,
Watch the videos. So FOA has one of the biggest
that's
uh,
right.
YouTube channels for fiber resources. Chances are one of the first times you've ever, searched online for a concept like what is single mode fiber, there was an FOA video that popped up and Jim Hayes was there explaining it from top to bottom for you. Uh, there are videos integrated throughout all the Fiber U course stuff. Watch the videos, read the book, take the practice exams and chapter quizzes, and you should be ready to take the test.
Yeah, and
There
again,
are some hands-on stuff. We should talk about that a little bit too.
yeah, splicing, testing, doing
Yeah,
all that, cleaning.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you've never done it, if you're just jumping into the technical side of fiber,
Mhm.
is the things that you learn firsthand. How do stripping away the fiber, the different layers of a fiber optic cable, what it is the actual going on with the actual fusion, what the different wavelengths work, what's multi-mode working in, what's single mode working in. It is you deep dive into fiber.
Yeah.
It's a hard deep dive into fiber, but it's so illuminating into what you should know if you're definitely working with it. Um, but yeah, it's just from personal experience, you just take your time.
Yeah.
As if you can take your time, structure it out, and you know one of the biggest things is you got to learn how to learn.
Hey,
We will give a whole episode on learning how to learn. That's what will be the topic of it. At the
absolutely.
flashcards, study, skill trees, we be planning. But
Yeah.
just if you haven't done anything like this before, just look into the resources, check it out. Scroll through, pick through a bunch of stuff, look what's interesting and what you can find, and then seeing how the FOA has it structured, seeing what your schedule is looking like. Talk to your employer even, and seeing if they if a program's not developed, if one can be developed.
Mhm.
You can be like the guinea pig or
Yeah.
the trial run, to be able to do that. But
Or just
or just
have them
yeah.
contract out to have an FOA school. If there's enough people, they'll even come on site
Hmm.
and then train. There may be one nearby you. Use that map. If you can't start an in-house program, uh, yeah, reach out to the nearest school or to FOA, and they'll get you in touch with somebody.
Yeah, and we're going to be going over a couple of other FOA certs in our later videos. We're trying to sort of give a sense of where we started foundationally with fiber optics and where we've taken it now to what we consider like the peak, as far
Yeah.
as like the engineering portion. So we'll be diving into deep, more
Deep diving from beginning to the bottom, from the bottom to the top.
top to bottom, sideways, up, down, left, right,
Then
man.
down the other side of the mountain again to we're in the next level of all this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but our main objective is to get this information out to you guys, give you guys our personal experiences, especially what we went through, and hopefully give you some tips that'll help you as you travel through your own journey. As we, grow in our craft in ITC, we just want to influence as many people as we can to become professionals, add to their own value, whether it be the organization's value, the individual's value.
yeah,
Like, there's so much more that you can achieve than where you're at right now if you want it, and we're more than happy to talk about all these things, definitely, in the next coming videos and stuff. There's a lot to talk about. We lose track sometimes. Like you guys have no idea the buckets of content that we're trying to wither down, filter out, just to get it across to you guys. And plus, we talk a lot. We, at least me. You guys can see, but yeah, just remember that all of this is to strengthen yourself, to add to who you are, add to your craft, to your skill set. And regardless if you obtain the cert or not, just going over, trying to,
That's true.
yeah, just going through this information itself is a giant help, a giant help. And it's accessible. I believe it's free, right? At least the chapters online from the Fiber U.
Everything online is free. So in order to sit for the exam, if you're in like a work to cert program, I believe, man, I should have checked this. I think it's like $25 to take the practice exam or to get like the certificate of completion for
That's correct.
Fiber U. You
Yep.
don't have to be in a work to cert or anything like that, but you can do that. And then once you do that, you have a certificate. You're not certified, but you've gone through the free training,
Yes.
and you're paying for that kind of, we'll call it a practice test and completion certificate. And then for the exam itself, now, so one of the advantages of getting a corporate membership is I believe even the exams were discounted that you paid. So what we paid was a little cheaper than the what you would pay like at a school for the full trainings. For the full training, I think that depends on the schools really, what how much you pay. But for us, I believe it, yeah, long enough now, I forget. I believe it was like maybe $60 for us to take like the
Oh yeah,
actual.
yeah.
Yep, 60. And you can actually take the exam at your job. You don't even have to like travel to another place to do that. You just have to have maybe like someone from like HR, or someone who's like not your trainer, not your boss, to be your proctor. And it's all on the computer, and you just sit there, you sign in, you get the link from your proctor, you take the exam, and right there if you pass or fail.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
And now, if you do pass, you get a nice, pretty badge,
Yes,
a
yes,
digital
the digital
badge.
certificate, the digital credential things are here now for FOA as well. So you
Well,
can
I
some
don't
people
have
that want.
one. Phew. I mean, I won't be.
Yeah, we just missed the boat on those.
Yeah, right.
But for every CFOT or whatever FOA cert, I guess when you renew now, as long as you keep your membership current, because you have to do that, and I believe that's like $20 every. I better not throw prices out there. We'll double
Yeah, yeah.
check.
Stop trying to double
But,
check it,
but it is
brother.
not much. It's definitely worth maintaining your membership and renewing your credentials. But then yeah, you'll get the digital badges and stuff for your next renewal. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's cool. It's super
Yeah,
cool. It's
yes,
super cool. You'll have, a nice certificate, a nice badge as well, to go with you passing the exam, man. And it's all accessible. It's all accessible to you. The
yep,
resources are there.
yep.
Just got to take advantage when you can.
And if you don't think it is, put your excuses in the comments, and we'll shoot them down left and right, and help get you on track. Because yeah, highly recommended.
Trust us when we say we've managed with the bare minimum. We can find something for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's so
definitely.
once again, why should you get a CFOT or become a certified fiber optic technician? My main answer to that is you increase the value that you have as a technician for yourself, not only for you, but for your organization. And two, you're able to fill in all the gaps of knowledge that you probably wouldn't have gotten any other way. And three, you might just fall in love with the structure career path that's is lined up for you, and you might look to explore higher levels of fiber optic, possibly design, implementation, engineering, testing, specializations. It opens a door. It definitely opens a door. So I would say, why get it? because it opens a door. It opens doors.
Yeah,
It's just
you're
another
serious about
key.
success and you want to be in the ICT industry, this is a great first step. I don't care if you have your CCNA, go get your CFOT.
Go
You
get your
know,
C. Man, I'm doing it backwards. I got my C5. I'm going.
we've done a lot backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We have. But it's again, we've done it backwards. Plenty of you guys have learned backwards too. You guys can do it as well. You know.
Yep.
And if you have any questions about anything that we talked about, FOA, CFOT, any of the other certs, which we will be covering. So if you have questions, just hold off on a couple of other ones. But in regards to the CFOT, whether training and stuff, please let us know down in the comments or send us, a message or whatever it may be. And we'll try to address it as much as we can. But
So now let's assume our listeners got their CFOTs. What do they do after the CFOT? How do they stay current?
oh, you got to follow the newsletter. The Fiber Optic Association, as I don't know if you have to be certified, or you could just sign up for the newsletter
Oh,
yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's free.
It's
Yep.
free. You can sign up for the newsletter every month. They drop a newsletter, and it is packed, filled with stuff, like ranging from the newest tech to something that might have happened in its state with a new fiber project. New technical skills, new certs, different options or opportunities that they're giving out. It is jam packed. I think it was like, well, I was scrolling for at least 15, like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
trying to go through all the material. And but it is a great way to stay in tune with what the industry is moving forward with, especially if you haven't dabbled in the industry, whether it be recently or ever before. Plug your email in, get your newsletter once a month, and at least reading up in the industry. Even that itself is a great help and a great benefit because you're able to say, oh, look, this is what's coming next. You're able to get some insight on whether it's, new hardware, new tech, new implementation methods, and you're one step ahead of the game. This is an industry that you have to stay one step ahead, maybe 5 steps. You're in the dark. There's no steps anymore. It's just the abyss, just empty space, the
Feeling
vacuum.
around in the dark.
Yeah, just feeling around. It don't even matter. But you got to keep moving forward in these type of things, man. And
Well, for the audience, one of the things that we were going to try to experiment with is kind of quite going over. So the newsletter comes out every month. We consider it required reading, and we thought for this episode it'd be a good idea to just kind of like, you know, um, introduce you to the newsletter. If you're interested in fiber, it is an excellent periodical to get and read every month, and we could kind of give you some like highlights of the newsletter and just kind of give like even our hot takes on some of the stuff, and if you're interested, we'll as we can for our episodes if we have time. Each month we should be able to cover it for one of the shows,
mhm.
and yeah, if you have questions about stuff, a topic could become a show idea if people are interested enough. So we were going to take a few minutes and go over the May newsletter for the FOA.
Yeah, the new one should be coming out, believe the first.
Yeah.
So we're late on this one, but yeah, let's go over it. We'll go over it with you guys. You guys let us know if it's something that you guys find interesting that you don't mind looking at. Looking into us talking about at least once every episode.
There we go.
Here it
Yeah,
is.
so this is the May edition, and so there are a couple things that stood out for me. So you see the features here, and then they'll give news, and then like technical, like people will write in with like Q&A things, and then tons. I can't even imagine how much they process per month because this is kind of like their digest, and updates on training and other resources. So yeah, so it's jam packed. But one of the interesting things is the conversation around, and this could definitely be a show topic. Are standards ignoring the outside plant? And I would say Historically, yes. So I guess, and we're not going to read the articles and stuff. But of course, if you've read the articles and you want to start a conversation, feel free either on our YouTube channel, hit us up on LinkedIn. Let's start something there. But the standards around even just defining like the types of multi-mode, right? And then boom, single mode comes into play, and now we have to define those. And it's interesting. I didn't know some of the history about how the North American standard bodies and large companies really was pushing this. And then the first tech bubble happened in 2001, and the U.S. kind of a back seat and then moved into the international stage with the International Organizational for Standards, ISO, ITU, and a bunch of others. So I did not know about that history. It was interesting. You had so much standard work being done on copper, but yeah, apparently even as late as 2009, a lot of the fiber optic stuff committee was not cohesive, was not merged, and then that started to kind of really come together from there. And I see a lot of interesting opportunities for standardization. Um, for instance, if you're doing GPON stuff, right? So, GPON at this point, we've had BPON, we've had EPON, and now GPON, and GPON is now kind of moving into the legacy techs along those other lines with XGS-PON,
XGS,
NG-PON2,
G too.
25 gig PON. Some serious advances are taking place, but I know from our experience doing a lot of work in GPON, you had to use pretty much the same vendor for both the CO side, right? The OLTs, the optical line terminals, and the customer premises
Mhm.
side, for the ONU, ONTs. They were not compatible. It's not like you could just like plug any router into any switch. I mean, into any uh, CO router to a customer premise or a CPE, customer premises equipment, and get DHCP. Like there was a lot of incompatibility issues. And so I think in terms of like the standards, yes, they are standards, but the wide adoption of compatibility around these things, just as you have a SCA PC, you walk up to any patch panel, you plug it in. It works great. You get the expected attenuation levels and all those things, but I think there are still a lot of issues in the OSP, and yeah, for me, it really got my mind thinking about what should be compatible in the OSP, not just at the physical, like the equipment, and because like splice trays, right? So like like should splice trays be compatible like LGX panels?
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in an enclosure in the ISP, there are so many different, and in order to be effective, you have to really get familiar with the trays, the closures, obviously the cables and things that you're working with. And if you're swapping out one vendor's equipment for another, like, are you going to be able to immediately be effective in that? And not just be effective, but should that stuff fit in the other
Yep.
case? I mean, I've never even thought about that until now. You know what I mean? But like we have a lot more consistency and compatibility on the ISP side, like with cassettes and the LGX standard for modular rack, rack mount rack sizes themselves is very standard.
Standard.
You
Hmm.
want to get something in a rack, it's going to be 19 or 23 inches. It's going to have a set height, like. But the OSP, it's there's still a lot of free for all out there. So yeah, a lot of stuff to think about. And just real quickly, um, I recently read that the standard for the OTDR um, files, so like the trace
Yeah.
files and things like that, because I've actually started a piece on uh, the lack of standards for data in the OSP, and hopefully we'll publish that sometime this summer. But the data format for OTDR traces was supposed to be a a more generalized documentation standard for all of OSP.
Oh,
Yes, not just the traces. Records for terminations, cables, I believe even down to like the plant records and stuff like that. Like it's
cable disk.
generic
Yeah.
enough, but it never took off. And it's a very old standard by many measures at this point. So yeah, a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. So, this is just one example of the kinds of things that the newsletter will cover. And we don't really have time to get into too much of it, but just wanted to also mention that there's another example here of CFOTs get good jobs, right? And that's the kind of thing that we're trying to emphasize here too, about the value of this, as Irving and I were saying. But yeah, check it out. There's some interesting, fiber fail type things here.
Whoa,
That
yeah, that's crazy.
yeah,
That's great.
there must be a story behind this.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge until I hear the
Yeah,
story.
we're
That's
not, we got to hear the full story from the source, but yeah, we'll be looking at pictures like this to see what happened and what should have happened for things like that. And yeah, so check out the newsletters, definitely subscribe. As Irving said, I think the next one's coming out later this week,
yep.
and hopefully by one of our episodes next month, we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And if you have any comments or questions about the newsletter, things like that you'd like us to expound on, let us know.
Yeah. Please do. Please do. It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you guys about becoming a certified fiber optic technician, the FOA, the CFOT, and that process, and our own journeys. And I really hope that what we've, presented to you guys today resonates with you, and you take the initiative to at least look at this, at the resources at your disposal, to better yourself and better your profession, and in that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining episode 2 of our Fiber Nerds podcast. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on our platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube at the Telcom Craft. We also want to say thank you for getting us to 100 subscribers.
Yes.
We wanted to make a video on that, but couldn't get to it. So thank you all for tuning in and watching all of our videos. It really appreciate it. It does mean a lot. Gives us more motivation to keep churning out these videos for you guys to see if it helps you guys out. But stay tuned for our next video. Should be in 2 weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, we're trying. We're a little late. Just had some personal stuff we both had to do, but we're getting our routine down, our cadence, and yeah, hopefully in the next 2 weeks or sooner, maybe. Yeah, we'll launch the next show and talk a little bit more about some more other certs, and maybe go from CFOT from the beginning all the way to the end, with some of the stuff that exists out there if you want to take your fiber to the extreme. So
To the next level. We're all about leveling up here at the Fiber
absolutely,
Nerds
absolutely.
podcast. So once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into us. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel or any of our pages at the Telcom Craft. I'm your co-host, Irving Perez. This is your
And
host,
I'm Aaron Lloyd.
Aaron Lloyd, man. He's the man. He's the man. But thank you guys so much. You guys have a great night.